Welcome to the Stochastic MLB DFS Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with your old pal, EMac. You can find him on Twitter at EMacDFS. We'd like to thank Underdog for sponsoring. If you followed any of my content, you know that I'm a huge fan of Underdog in basically all of its forms. They are sponsoring us today. Well, we'll talk about Underdog a little bit more later on. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. EMac, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning?
Doing good. I already have the article up today. I've got a little issue with my headset. I might need a new headset there.
Uh-oh. Can you not hear me? What's going on?
I got one of my AirPods is kind of buzzing a little bit. So hopefully it's I got the DraftKings package for Onyx like you did.
Yep.
But my wife got the watch. My wife got the new iPad. I'm going to give the phone to my brother. I'm giving the computer to my mom. And I was going to get the AirPods. Except my wife driving down here to Florida from Virginia lost one at a restaurant or a gas station somewhere. So she took it. I'm hoping she lost the right one and not the left one because I think I need the left one replaced here.
Oh, no. So she has them right now. Okay.
Yeah, she has basically the whole package. So everybody loves DFS now because Santa Claus gave away the whole.
Like a free Apple package, absolutely. I have never used AirPods. That's so yeah. I got that same package. That is the one thing that my wife wanted was the AirPods. So I gave those up, but I'll have to try them someday. I'll get myself some AirPods as well. I'm keeping everything. I sold the iPad because I already have an iPad. I kept the laptop. I think I'm good. I actually haven't taken it out of the box yet. I've had it for a couple months. I just assume I'm going to want to use that at some point. I use the Apple Watch religiously. So great package there. EMac, we got to get through 2 slates though, and we have to be out by noon Eastern time. So we'll jump into the slates, but I'm thinking that we're just going to do the early 5-game slate and then the main slate that starts later in the evening. Does that sound good to you? We'll skip over the
good. You guys just witnessed an on-air production meeting here. There we go.
Exactly right. That's exactly how they go. Let's talk about these ones. We'll skip over the turbo slate because we got a lot to get through as is. We're going to start with this 5-game early slate though, EMac. The first game on the early slate being Atlanta at New York. We have Alan Winans on the mound for the Braves. Denis Reyes. Man, these names are hard for me. I don't even know how to pronounce these. Denis Reyes for the Mets. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Pretty much zero. And so I went to go look up Alan Winans, and he's kicked around for a while. Like he was popped up with the Mets in rookie ball all the way back in, so it's a remember me game, all the way back in 2018. However, he has a grand total of 4 1/3 innings in the majors. That was in his last appearance and lone appearance this season. Projection numbers have him for about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is not great. On the other side, you got Denis Reyes, who's mostly a reliever. Looking at Reyes, he has been down in the minor leagues. He's actually started the last few games. He went 49, 50, and 64 pitches in those, but he actually got 5, 6, and 7 innings. So, I'm sorry, I read the wrong column. 83, 81, and 100 pitches. So he's stretched out. Both these guys were called up because this is the first game of a doubleheader, so they get the pitchers. Teams get an extra pitcher if they so choose. On doubleheader day, and then they'll send them right back down afterwards. But that's all we need to know about them. Otherwise, it's bats, and more bats. For Atlanta, you know the drill. Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, in that order. Thank God DraftKings has them. 3 of the 4 are $6,000 or more. Ozzie Albies is at $5,700. So they're making us work for this a little bit, which is nice. FanDuel, let's see, where is their pricing? They are nominal at best, 4,900. I guess that's high for FanDuel, 4,400. So they're trying. Yahoo does a pretty good job putting them up in the mid-20s. So it's going to be tough to get Atlanta. You can look to New York as your differentiation play. Some salary savers. Go for the power against Winans.
All right, makes sense. Man, a couple jabs here early on. Benny Levine says this is the welcome to AARP orientation. Benny, I'm only 40 years old. I got plenty of years before AARP. Mitchell Borer says no Josh and Dave. I love the Josh and Dave show as much as anybody, but you gotta get days off sometime. So Lofty and Josh today. EMac and I happy to fill in though. EMac, we can continue, I guess. Yeah, I had plenty of comments I wanted to respond to. But how about the bats in this game? Atlanta, New York, any interest in these?
Yeah, so definitely go with Atlanta. You're going to pay for it. If you want to go with the not so differentiation stack, look towards the players towards the bottom of the lineup. Michael Harris batting 8th today. They brought in Nicky Lopez, do a little infielder work there. You've got so they're all right. And then you've got the Mets. You definitely want to look to Alonso, Vogelbach, and Narvaez are their power sources, which I think Winans can be had with a little bit of power.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
I forgot this little wrinkle. I would say the Braves bats, the Mets bats, and don't play either pitcher.
Okay. Next up,
let's back up for a second. Okay. You can play Denny Reyes. He's $4,000 on DraftKings, but what are you going to spend that money on? The Atlanta bats, which are facing him, which makes that a little bit tricky. But
do we have only one lineup out so far? That's what History Buff is saying. Man, that's rough when you can't get the. We'll have them before lock, but yeah, that's no fun when we don't have the lineups. And then here was the other comment I wanted to respond to. Straight Cash Homie says Winon's cousin of BB and CC, put some respect on his name. I don't know who any of these people are, unfortunately. All right. We can move on to the second game, which is Chicago at Toronto. Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs. Chris Bassett for the Blue Jays. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
A little bit in Justin Steele, but apex price point there at 9,500 on DraftKings makes it kind of a moot point. Chris Bassett is okay, 7,700. I'll take that on DraftKings, kind of your SP2. We're really looking at Sandy Alcantara later in the slate and Brian Bello as our 2 main pitching options. So I think Bassett is kind of number 3 there. Steele, if he was $1,000 less on DraftKings, he'd be a little more into that conversation. Keep in mind there is a little bit of weather up there in Toronto, so I'm guessing the dome may be closed today. At the Rogers Center, or the roof may be closed. But I think this is more about the Chicago bats. If you're going to do anything, Cody Bellinger suddenly resurgent, not quite to his MVP form from a few years back, but pretty close. I like him. Ian Happ, always nice. You get the switch hitter opportunity there. So he's going to be pitching with the platoon advantage the whole game. And then Christopher Morel has a lot of same-handed power, and Jamer Candelario, switch hitter that they picked up from the Nationals at the trade deadline. Those would be the ones I'd look to. If you are going to go with the Blue Jays, probably Chapman would be my main interest, along with George Springer. Essentially, you're looking for some home run hunting. I don't think you're going to see Justin Steele melt down. See what I did there? Steele melt down. But there's not a lot of leverage to be had by going with Toronto, so not very exciting.
Okay. Sure. And how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
I would go Steele, Cubs, Bassett, and then Toronto. And the Bassett play is for DraftKings or Yahoo, where you need an SP2. I wouldn't play him on FanDuel.
Okay. Apparently, the Winans Singers are a famous gospel music group. I don't listen to a lot of gospel music. Also, maybe I'm just pretending to not know who they are, because they are all like 60-something singers. And I'm trying to dispel the rumors that I'm an old guy. So no idea who's Elvis. I don't know who you're talking about. All right. Next up, we have Detroit at Boston. Matt Manning on the mound for the Tigers. Brian Bayo for the Red Sox. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
Yes. I did get a note from friend of the show, Stephen Leibowitz, who said that Brian Bayo, not the best in day games. However, I'm willing to take him against Detroit. This is a play strictly against Detroit, bottom 5 offense, if not bottom offense across most metrics, no matter how we slice it over the last 2 years against righties. Advanced, on the road, standard, pick your splits, just not good. You've got Boston bats, I think, are intriguing going against Matt Manning, though. No interest in playing Manning whatsoever. However, we have the choices today are going to be going with Atlanta bats, which are expensive, as we covered, or also looking to Boston here. So while Boston does have a little bit of a discount, it's not much, but that little bit does help. So clearly, Rafael Devers and Tristan Casas, one of them hitting a home run today, right? You just preordained at this point. Jarren Duran and Masataka Yoshida should be at the top of the order. They're perfectly fine. Justin Turner, new lease on life. He's almost as old as Neil. He's 48 this year.
That's funny. That's funny, EMac.
Okay, just putting it out.
You can't do the old guy jokes, EMac. You're older than me.
I had to do your W-9 when we hired you here. I've got the receipts. Don't make me put my birth certificate next to yours. Mine's written on a stone tablet, but yours is on papyrus. So they kind of came out around the same time. Just saying. All right. Just saying that. Justin Turner, 38. He'll be 39 in November. He is rather solid. And then Trevor Story's back. He's only got 12 at bats or 12 plate appearances, 11 at bats, 1 hit thus far, a double. Skip him until we see something from him. He looked a little bit rusty out there. I'm willing, and they have him. Last I looked was way too high of a salary for what I'd like. I would offer up Alex Verdugo a little deeper down the lineup as the alternative in stacks, because I suspect people are going to be clicking on Trevor Story because he's good, right? He hasn't really played since last September.
Right. Kind of a rough expectation for him when he's been back for what, week and a half now?
Yeah, 4 games.
Okay. So maybe just a week. All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Definitely Boston, number 1 with the bats. Bello 2. I think he's fine as kind of one of your top 2 pitchers, just mostly because he's going against Detroit, the Motor City Kitties. No bueno. And then I guess the Motor City Kitties for a little leverage, because Bello is going to be popular. So let's quickly throw out some names there. A little bit of power. You got Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green. That's it. Not much. And the always disappointing former top draft pick, Spencer Torkelson. All right. So yikes. Are those the only Detroit bats you're playing? Yeah, because Javi Baez doesn't look like he cares anymore. Yeah, I've seen some bad, just short videos of him just striking out at stuff way outside the strike zone. Yeah, not looking so great. Frank Vanderwall says, why not do late slate first, then early slate? That way we'd probably have lineups. Yeah, that's actually something that I had suggested many years ago, back before I ever did any content. We tried it. The rest of chat, besides Frank and us, hated it. And just spent the entire time bitching and complaining about it. Yeah, so it's just we got to do. Sorry, we tried. It does make sense to me, but yeah, it's just not what the people want. Apparently, we also got a super chat here from Red Skittles. It says donation to the Metamucil / Life Alert Fund. I'm going to take that as a jab at EMac and not include myself in that. But thank you for the $20 super chat from Red Skittles. That is awesome. Neil. I can't get up. I can't get up. Yeah, that's a classic. Aggressive Goose says, damn, Neil just got little broed. Yeah, EMac does our financials. He does, but I also just got gaslit because I know how old I am. EMac can't be like, oh no, you're a lot older than you say you are. I'm going to prove it. I know exactly how old I am. So EMac can't gaslight me on my age and claim that we're the same age. All right. Next game on this slate, we're already through 3. We're on to the 4th, which is Cleveland at Tampa Bay. Gavin Williams on the mound for the Guardians. Sean Armstrong for the Rays. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac? Kevin Williams has kind of picked things up a little bit. He's a rookie. He has, I believe, yes, I'm going from memory here. So I'm trying to call up the other pitcher. A couple solid starts, if not of the quality variety, pretty close. So that is always nice. You've got the Rays lineup will be putting most of their right-handers out there. So Brandon Lau and Luke Raley are probably going to be their only 2 lefties in the lineup. So that is going to make it a little tougher there for Williams because everybody will have the platoon advantage. But I think he's in play as your SP2 6,400 there on DK. Yahoo, remember, you can play everybody else on the slate. So you really don't have to force in SP2s if you do not like them. But if you can get an early slate on Yahoo, I think he is okay over there. But my real interest here would be a very cheap Cole Calhoun. Hey, he's still in the league. I had a moment when he popped up a couple weeks ago, and then I went and looked, and he'd actually played a little bit. He just was out of sight, out of mind. So he is first base outfield eligible on DraftKings, and he is kind of a nice punt du jour. At 2,400, if he's batting cleanup, he will likely be a pinch hit risk here, but I'm okay with if we can get 2 at bats from him. I think that's okay. So this one is in Tampa Bay, so obviously pitching friendly and in the controlled weather environment there. And I'm just calling up Sean Armstrong to see what he has done recently. He's a reliever who's been around forever, but I wanted to see, how do I get to his game logs? I wanted to see how much he's been pitching lately.
Everybody's pointing out that Gavin Williams is right-handed.
Thank you. Sorry. Well, then that bodes well because there's really only going to be 2 lefties plus switch hitter Wander Franco in there. Still doesn't elevate him beyond an SP2, but does make life a little easier for him. I guess that also means you probably get Josh Lowe in there as well. I can't remember if he's been playing or not recently. They got off on that hot start on their offense. They are losing a pitcher once a month now. Their rotation is pretty much threadbare, but they lost Jeffrey Springs in spring training. They lost McClanahan's out for the rest of the season, and I'm blanking on their other key pitcher that they lost. I don't think Glasnow's been hurt. So yikes, sad day for Tampa. But thank you for pointing out that Gavin Williams is in fact right-handed.
When EMac gets things wrong, we just called
I must have conflated him with Brandon Williams, who I think is left-handed, who's also on the slate today, I think.
Yeah. Yep. So. We just called it a senior moment, EMac. Whenever you get something wrong, you have an excuse built in. It's just a senior moment.
Just, it happens. You guys get us up to 100 likes, and I'll show you my AARP card.
All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
So I would go barely the Rays offense. Number 2 would be Williams. Number 3 would be the Guardians. And then number 4 would be the Tampa collection of pitchers today.
Okay. All right. Final game on this early slate. We have New York at Miami. Johnny Brito on the mound for the Yankees. Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
Yes. So Alcantara is the reigning National League Cy Young Award winner. He has been steady over his last 8 starts: 2.9 ERA, 4.2 FIP, 2.44, so 244 batting average against. 8 of these outings have seen him close out the 6th inning. That is key because that is a quality start. If you go 6 innings or more and allow 3 or less earned runs, you get bonus points for that on FanDuel. He's 9,900 on FanDuel, but I think he is a fine choice as one of the 2 best pitchers on FanDuel for this particular slate. Let's see. The Yankees have 5 different players in their lineup that strike out 25% or higher against right-handers. It's projected that the back of their lineup will be Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Harrison Bader, Anthony Volpe, and I think it's going to be the backup catcher. I'm forgetting his name, but I looked it up this morning, and combined, those guys over the last 2 years have a 0.11 ISO. So that's a 110 ISO. That's like non-existent. It means no extra base hits.
All right.
On the other side, go with the Marlins. I'm comfortable with them going against Brito. I think you can look towards Luis Arias. He's not much for power, but gets on base, and that is key. After him, you have Josh Bell, who I believe homered from both sides of the plate 2 days ago. So always fun when a switch hitter can do that. And then Jazz Chisholm theoretically is healthy, at least for the next 24 to 72 hours until he hurts something else again. Take advantage of this rare window this season where he's likely to be available. That would be the trio to target.
Okay. We got a comment from Bro on Twitter. He says a combined 70 years of experience in MLB fantasy. Nice. In this case, he might not be far off actually. No, 70 a little bit much, but yeah. Yeah, a lot of experience in MLB, not DFS because it wasn't around for it, but MLB fantasy at the very least. All right, back to what's your level of interest in the bats in this Miami game?
Just first the three guys I mentioned for the Marlins are key. I mean, you can always look towards the power from the Yankees, but I'm looking at it. Alcantara does allow some home runs, but he's only allowed 8 only. I mean, he's allowing about 1 per game, but he allows so few base runners that even if he gives up home runs, it's not that big of a deal because he has a pretty good idea or a pretty good job on his walk rate. So you've got the double whammy in Miami. It's the game, and that's a pitcher's park plus Alcantara's pretty good. So you are kind of home run hunting, but it's not with very much fervor, shall we say?
Okay, I see. Bro in chat. He liked that we brought up his jab at us. Bro is also older than me, by the way. All right, how would you rank the 4 sides of this game, EMac?
Alcantara number 1, Miami 2. I guess Brito as an SP 2, and then the Yankees bet. The Yankees are just they're like Neil. They're old.
we were just going to do this all show, just old jokes.
We are, except I'm going to hand you the trump card. This is year 35 for me playing fantasy baseball.
Is it really? Man.
Yeah, I started 1989, April of 1989.
So I've been playing at least 20 years. I think I was playing in high school. Let's guess I've been playing 23 years or so. So we are actually at 58 years combined?
Almost at 60, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close to 60. Ryan Nelson says, EMac asked me, EMac laugh scare you, Neil? I don't recall what you're talking about, but it's early. I'm easily startled in the morning.
I probably it's funny. Everybody's like, oh, you laugh. My brother laughs the exact same way I do. We look like nothing alike, but
I know how you laugh, EMac. I've done plenty of
shows. You've done enough shows. It can catch people off guard. My wife's like, she's like, I never know what you're laughing at, but it makes me laugh when you laugh, right? When I'm doing the shows and stuff.
It's a contagious laugh, yeah. All right.
It's like, you seem like you're having fun. So exactly. I'm having fun. There you go.
That's the goal here, right? And to make some money. All right.
Let me go shopping. That's what it is.
All right. So we made it through the 5 games, EMac. The final thing I like to do on each slate is favorite 3 stacks on this slate.
All righty. Well, Atlanta's going to be number 1, but I'm acknowledging paying through the nose for them, which makes this interesting, right?
Yep.
Then number 2 is going to be Boston. No surprise there. They're going against Matt Manning. Manning has struggled in his last couple starts. I don't think I called that out, but they even gave Matt Manning an extra day of rest. In his last 3 starts, he has allowed half a dozen home runs, just gone 16.2 innings. He only issued 2 walks, but still has a 9.2 ERA, and then the 6.8 fielding independent pitching is not very good, and a 320 batting average against. So that has everybody in Boston in play. I did say skip Story, but Devers, Casas, Duran, Yoshida, Turner, Verdugo, pretty much everybody but Story is fine. That would be the 2. The 3rd, I guess we're going with the Cubs against Chris Bassett.
And you're only skipping Story because he's was out for a long time and has only been back 3 or 4 games, like
pretty much. That's a long layoff, and he's always something. He's not Troy Tulowitzki hurt, but he's been hurt, right? He started out same organization, similar career path, went over to the AL East, got dinged up. It's just I need to see more. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, Troy.
Fair enough.
Sorry, Trevor.
3 favorite pitchers on this early slate.
Alcantara is going to be 1. Bello will be 2. And I guess right-hander Gavin Williams will be 3.
All right, and then
but he's SP2 only, and you coin flip between him and Bassett for SP2.
We don't have a Coors game here, so you can take any bat you want. Who is your home run pick for this early slate? Tristan Casas. All right, you're going down the board a little ways. I'm going to go.
Oh, have you done your analysis? Where does he appear on in your special model?
Oh, my special model does not include Tristan Casas because I only run it for the main slate. So
Gotcha.
Down the board in terms of I guess yeah, he's actually probably near the top of the home run model. But I just go straight to, I mean, you can take any of these Braves guys is what I had in mind. I'm just going to go straight to Ronald Acuna here for the home run pick. Okay. Probably Casas is actually not as far off as I'm assuming he is just based on projection. All right, we'll move on to the main 10-game evening slate. I was thinking we made great time on that early slate, and then I realized we have 10 games to get through on the evening slate.
Well, we'll make it happen, Neil.
Yeah, we'll go quickly. I've EMac already doing a great job of like going quickly. Like you and I usually take a long time on these shows, but we have adjusted, and we're speeding up.
Don't jinx us, Neil.
I don't know who's pitching on the evening slate for Atlanta and New York. So it's the same pitcher showing up.
It is likely to be. I think Strider is going, and I think it's Jose Quintana.
Okay. Let's go with that assumption for now then.
Okay.
Strider and Quintana.
They're a 7-15 game, so they're a Fox game.
I'm guessing you're going to have some interest in Strider here.
Yes. Well, now let's look at him because he went. Let's see, friend of the show and my personal showdown nemesis for NFL, Melissa. She was asking me about Strider the other day, and I said, "Hey, that start probably cost him the Cy Young Award." And then I tried to walk it back a little bit. And I said, "Well, there's, everybody's going to make about 8 more starts." His odds dropped so dramatically after that, Neil. I mean, he went like backwards about 600 points. Now that I think was a bit of an overreaction, but I can't wager on postseason player awards, even when I am in Virginia. So that doesn't even appear for me on DK. So I usually look and see. I can go look at it on OddsShopper, but I saw that Greg posted the massive drop that he had. But if we look at his last 5 games here, he's gone 6 innings or more in 4 of them. But the last game he only went 2 2/3. He has only allowed 5 home runs in these 6 games, and he's been racking up the strikeouts. I mean, he's got 9 or more in 4 of them, but he has allowed 5, going farthest back to most recent, 5, 4, 2, 1, and 6 earned runs. So during this stretch, he has a 5.9 ERA and a 3.33 fielding independent pitching, 257 batting average against. But he's got the issues have just been hit sequencing because he has 45 strikeouts in these 27 innings. Jeez. But it's of his 35 hitter or 35 base runners, half of them have come around to score. Right. So it's like, okay, how are you getting that many strikeouts? You've only allowed 5 home runs in these 27 innings, 28 innings, and you're getting smacked around. It's just all hit sequencing. So he should come out of it, I would like to think, but he is not as unhittable as he was. But he's still piling up the strikeouts, which is just, I mean, he's two strikeouts per 9. Again, I haven't looked at it since his last start, but he was at like 14 per 9 innings, and I think Gausman was just over 12. So it was almost like 2 difference from he's like a whole full standard deviation behind or ahead of Gausman. So it's like, oh my God, how is that happening? But you're still paying apex salary. So yes, we'd like to play Strider. Yes, we'd love to play the Atlanta Bats, but thank God DraftKings and Yahoo are making us make some decisions here.
Right.
So I think it's fine to play him. He will pile up the strikeouts. I don't think you have to go there tonight. There are some other intriguing pitching options, in my opinion. But that should keep his popularity down. But he's priced for almost perfection. You need 10 strikeouts tonight. You need a quality start for him to reach that 12.6 on DK.
Okay, perfect. All right, Debonair says 285 watching 51 thumbs up. Disrespectful. Thanks for the reminder, Debonair. Yeah, please do hit that thumbs up. We could use all the likes we can get. So please hit that like button if you haven't already. The Dude Shop says Moss and Culpepper were on my first fantasy team. You were doing it right, the Dude Shop. But EMac, one thing I wanted to touch on is we got the Mets lineup, and we did have some questions about the early Mets lineup.
Sure,
Andrew Martinez asked, would you get to any of those Mets with the lineup they rolled out? Looking at Mets game one, we have Ortega.
Nimmo's hurt, so that really weakens it down. I mean, Ortega's going to get 5 at bats, right, or 5 plate appearances. That's interesting at the DK minimum. So he's in play even as a one-off, right? That's going to allow you to get some of the Atlanta hitters or some of the other big bats from Boston. Mark Vientos is also 2,400 on DK. They're in play. Jeff McNeil, he's going to have a multi-extra base hit game today. I've dropped him in most of my season-long leagues this week. I liked his outfield eligibility, shortstop eligibility, but I've been streaming to try to catch up in categories, and I don't think I have him on a single team, and I had him on, I think, 5 of my 7 teams. So he's going to go off today. I guarantee it. Aside from that, he's still decent, and then Pete Alonso's fine. Dan Vogelbach, it's going to cost you your first base slot, and he is a pinch running risk in addition to a pinch hitting risk if a lefty were to come in the game. Omar Narvaez is perfectly fine as a punt catcher, 2,200. So I get to them. I don't feel great about a stack. It's more a value play at this point. So good call out. I'm not racing to get them, but I bet when I crunch, those cheapies are going to be well represented on DraftKings just because they're so darn cheap.
And to be clear, guys, we are talking about the early slate again.
Early slate.
But then I wanted to go there now because now we're going to transition straight to the evening slate bats in this game. Are you playing any of these Mets against Strider?
No, I don't think there's a reason to.
And then Atlanta for the evening slate against Quintana. What's your level of interest there?
I definitely look to the righties. So I guess Travis d'Arnaud is going to be playing catcher. He'll probably bat cleanup or 5th. I think Austin Riley's and Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna, they're all great. Olsen is fine in lefty-lefty matchups. But again, those guys average 6,200 per on DK, which is just nuts. Just absolutely nuts, and I love that they've done that. On the late slate, you will probably get one of who's their bench outfielder? Pilar. He's a cheapie. I bet he gets into the game today. He'd be interesting as a super cheapie with the platoon advantage, but he's no great shakes. Okay. So the core players, yes. Going against Strider, no. I don't see any reason to take anyone.
Okay. And then how would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Atlanta bats, Strider, Mets bats, and Quintana. I would be shocked if I have more than 2 or 3% Quintana on DraftKings.
Perfect. All right. So that's the first game of the evening slate. Second game, we have Oakland at Washington. Luis Medina on the mound for the A's. Jake Irvin for the Nationals. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
So Luis Medina, he's got some strikeout stuff. Walks, gigantic issue. Horrible walk rates in the minors. 4.67 per 9 innings in the majors. Again, he's showing some decent strikeout stuff, but it's going to be in the upper 80s, low 90s for this evening matchup here in Washington. 8 to 12 mile an hour breeze out to left center. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Nationals bats. On the other side, Jake Irvin he's okay. He's in consideration today as an SP2. You don't need to play him on FanDuel, but he's in consideration as an SP2 against the Athletics, who I think have scored the 3rd fewest runs on the road this season. We know what they are. They're not a great offense, and they allow us to talk about pitchers we would probably never talk about in a positive light, which would be Jake Irvin in this one. But let's talk offense, because CJ Abrams he's been pretty darn good. Since July 1st, 151 plate appearances, 314, 362, 489 triple slash, 19 stolen bases in 34 games. 33 of those were starts. One was a pinch hit appearance. He's been great. And now he's even working counts. And he's had a couple of game-winning hits late in the game. So during the stretch. So very exciting stuff there. Lane Thomas probably should have made the All-Star game this year. He did not, but he's having a breakout. He does okay in righty-righty matchups. Joey Benesses, righty-righty matchups here. He debuted as a 30-year-old rookie last year, but shows he belongs in the major league. The only other players interesting would be Dominic Smith, former Met that the Nationals acquired, but then that'll kind of cost you your first base spot. But he is the punt du jour today. And then Keibert Ruiz should be behind the plate. Why am I talking about these guys? Because this is the secondary stack that's going to allow us to get to the Braves or the Dodgers or the good pitchers or whatever. I wouldn't make the Nationals a primary stack, but I think those 4 or 5 guys, put 3 of them in a lineup, you get the synergy because they all should be in the top 5 of the order,
sure,
if not top 6. And then you can kind of play around, get 2 or 3 of them in there and get some synergy at a discount. But they kind of were, as I was writing up the slate today, they were kind of the key to unlocking some of the other stack combinations with the top pitchers. So
nice.
I wanted to spend a little time on those guys.
Yeah. And you did you already publish your article for today? Yeah,
it's available on the homepage. Spotlight Hitters Top Stacks covers their options for the early, the afternoon, the main, and the late slate. So all 4 slates are covered in the article.
EMac's got you covered. Go check that out if you haven't already as well. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game, EMac?
I'm going to go, wow, this is kind of fun. Nationals offense 1, Irvin 2, Medina 3, Seattle. I lived just outside a city called Medina, spelled the same way. So Medina. And then I guess the Athletics bats are a distant 4th. But you can play Medina as an SP2 on DK because these are the Nationals after all.
Yeah. All right. We hang on. I wanted to respond to Jeremy Jameson says King is pitching for the New York Yankees. Is that news to us? Do we have somebody else?
It is, because I thought it was Johnny Brito.
Yeah, I thought it was Johnny Brito earlier too. Maybe is that a new development?
It's not going to change my thoughts.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's easy then. Good, because we have a lot of games to get through.
Yeah, if he's an opener, don't play him. If he's going to go 50 or 60 pitches, cap him at 3%. If he comes into your 150, yay. If not, don't worry about it.
Okay, perfect. All right. And yes, somebody asked Neil and Matty G coming up next. Ryan Nelson asked Neil, you and Matty G again. Yes, we are on next for NFL preseason live before lock is immediately following this show. That's why we started this show a little bit early, because EMac and I tend to go long. And also I've got a hard out because I'm getting right onto that show with Matty G after that. So if you guys are playing NFL preseason, check us out for that. And while I'm doing some promo talk, I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Underdog. Now, I love Underdog for a million reasons. I'm obsessed with best ball. I love this new weekly winners format, all of that stuff too. But if you're not into football, it's really fun. These daily baseball games, I highly recommend them as well. And by the way, if you have not yet signed up for Underdog, you can get using our link in our description, which I also pinned to chat just now. You can get your first deposit matched up to $100. So you put $100 in, they're going to match that. You'll have $200 in your account. You put $50 in, they would match that. You would have $100 in your account. On top of that, you also get our NFL best ball and fantasy football package. So you get Matt Kajeski's rankings. That includes a CSV for Underdog that you can upload directly for their best ball product. But what I want to talk about just briefly, because we are on a baseball show and I've been itching to talk about it, because I actually love the format of these baseball. So it's daily drafts, where it's like DFS for baseball, but it's not DFS, because what you're doing is you're drafting against your opponent. So there's no like salary cap like you have in DFS. Looks like we don't have one for the early slate. I was hoping that I could find one, because often it does overlay, but apparently we don't have one for the early slate. But for the evening slate, so it's $5 entry fee. I believe it's still $150 max. It's $2,000 at first, so not quite the huge prize pools, but still a good amount of money to first. 6-person drafts, you're just drafting your teams. But what I love about these is people don't really know what they're doing. From what I can tell, most people are not even stacking. They're just taking, so you draft 5 bats and a pitcher. You need to have at least 2 outfielders and at least 2 infielders, and then 1 flex, whichever place you want to put them in. And you draft a pitcher. All of your points are scored for this. But people just take 5 random one-offs, and I think they're doing it wrong. I think that if you just 5-man stack, that is the way to go in these contests. I like to use the top stacks and top pitchers tool to figure out who to target exactly. But like oftentimes you can find like the top stack on the board or one of the 2 stacks that's most likely to hit. All of the ADPs are going to be like around 36. So they're like the last player taken. You can just take the 1 through 5 on stacks. Often, sometimes some of the best stacks on the slate, along with like the top pitcher of the slate. It is you can make some really great teams here. So I think it's a really cool format. And I might be wrong. I might be playing it completely wrong. I'm totally trying to 5-man stack. I don't see many people doing that. So I think that there is huge edge there. And if you haven't signed up yet, you get that deposit match bonus on top of it. I think you can really, it's a sharp way to try to make some money, in my opinion. EMac, I take it you have not played it yet, just based on your reaction there.
I have not played it since it was called Draft.
Okay, so EMac, it's new to EMac, but I could hear that EMac was a little bit intrigued by the idea.
I played. It's a function of time for me right now, but I did because Jeremy, who founded Underdog, also founded Draft.
That's right,
which was acquired by FanDuel. It's a similar type product, but they had the daily drafts for basketball and for baseball, which I loved. And I ended up I got the badge that said I had been in 1,000 leagues and all of that. So I played it a ton. I haven't since here. I've been doing their player prop stuff. And I've been doing NFL best ball, not there yet, but I'm working my way over towards there. But they have, the thing I like about their best ball product is they have for all sorts of price points, and they'll throw out like a $3 3-max tournament contest, or the Pomeranian, the $3 150 max, or they had the Dalmatian was, I think was like, it was a 3-max. I forget, it was a $55 or $150, but they all sorts of different things there, which is kind of fun, because if you're like, I don't want to do the best ball against all these best ball bros that have 150, they've got some tournaments that you have a realistic chance of winning. Does anybody have a realistic chance of winning the $2 million? No.
It's $3 million, by the way. But
$3 million, or does that count the $1 million prize for the
Best Ball Mania? Best Ball Mania. So it's $25 entry.
$3 million.
You're competing with nearly 700,000 people. But if you win the main prize, it's $3 million to first, $1 million to second, and 300,000 to third.
Holy cow! Well, if you want to do battle with Pat Corain and Chess Liam and all those, the previous winners. There you go.
But you can see here in the middle of the screen, this is the Chihuahua is just a $4 entry, and it's a 15 max. It's 25,000 first, so it's a little bit more realistic if you are looking for more realistic best ball tournaments.
But their NFL drafts for the weekly contests are so much fun, because sometimes they'll do just the primetime games, or they'll do you can do the Sunday night, Monday night game and stuff. And you just play 3-mans or whatever against other people. It's a lot of fun. Their product, that is the finest product out there, I think, when it comes to this draft.
Check it out. Check it out for sure if you haven't already. I love that EMac. He's totally going to start playing now. I could tell just as talking about. That sounds really cool to me. It's the closest thing you'll find to early days MLB DFS, where people didn't know what they're doing, because most people are not stacking. You can find it's a really soft field out there. We got a little bit of slander here. D asks, how old is EMac? Alex Santi responds 84. Could be Travis says, I'll take the over. Man, I love that we're just pushing it straight to EMac now. We're no longer calling Neil the old guy. I also, what else was there was something else I wanted to
Alex, very sharp mind out there.
Alex Santi, he was another guest on High Stakes, as was EMac. Chunk, this is what I was. Chunk the Deuce says, I'm watching on replay and I'm a little behind, but I will not take the Trevor Story slander. As a friend of mine, he will make you eat your words today, EMac. Double dong incoming. I think I would be okay playing Trevor Story. I don't know, like I'm not friends with him, but I will say this is one of the rare times where I disagree with the player take. EMac saying fade Trevor Story. I think that Trevor Story, I think he's a fine play. I'll say that about him.
Hey, even if he's awesome, he hits 300. That means I'm right 70% of the time. Come on, you got to be like
that's
Josh.
A good point.
Pick these unders.
Yeah, just always say, that's a terrible play. No, that's a terrible play. Yeah. All right, we do need to move. So we've only gotten through 2 games on the 10-game main slate. I
wasn't the one who jinxed us.
I know. It is my fault. All right. 3rd game up, we have Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Brandon Williamson on the mound for the Reds. Andre Jackson for Pittsburgh. What is your level of interest in these pitchers, EMac?
Williamson, decent. He is the lefty today, not to be confused. Sometimes confuse him with Gavin Williams, who's really a righty, but just be careful with that. I've heard tales that sometimes people get them mixed up. Anybody going to get to Pittsburgh at this point in time is reasonable. When you look at the many rookies that they're running out there in their lineups, likely Andy Rodriguez, Liover Piguero, Alika Williams. I went to school with a guy named Alika. I don't know why I said Ikea there. And Henry Davis. Combined, they have like 350 at-bats against lefties in the majors, right? There's just not a lot of experience. That said, I think McCutcheon's fine as a one-off. I think Hayes and Reynolds are also fine as one-offs. I don't really feel the need to stack them there because the back of the lineup is just so dicey. What happens is that there could be a lot of 3-ups, 3-downs. We're going to talk the same thing about Milwaukee. It's like, wow, there's some good players here. And then 2 innings could go by before they get up again. So you got to be careful with those. I think on the other side, we look to Cincinnati, Brandon Williamson, SP2 for sure on DraftKings and Yahoo. I think you can go to kind of anybody in the Cincy lineup. Start with the lefties first. So key players would be Friedel, switch hitter De La Cruz, Votto, and Will Benson. But you can connect them with, you're paying through the nose for Matt McLean on DK, but he's fine, and so is Spencer Steer. They have fine power against righties. I don't think you have to stack them. These are kind of like a trio. Go for a power trio with these.
Okay, perfect. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Cincy bats, Brandon Williamson, Pirates one-offs, Pirates pairs. Don't play the Pirate pitcher.
Okay, perfect. All right, next game up, we have St. Louis at Kansas City. Steven Matz on the mound for the Cardinals. Cole Reagans for the Royals. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
So I started off the day being very interested in attacking them both. Okay. Now I've come kind of full circle here. Cole Reagans, he's down to 5,500 on DK. All of a sudden, he's in SP2 contention. He came over. Who did they trade? The idiot closer for him to Texas, and I can't think of his name right now. All the off.
I can't help you. Somebody in chat will have to help you because I don't know who they traded him for.
Bro, we'll get that one for me.
Yeah.
But you've got Reagans has actually appeared to be somewhat positive, which is a surprising development.
Aroldis Chapman.
Thanks,
B Funk.
B-Funk. I knew someone would get it there.
Yeah.
So Reagans all of a sudden is an SP2 for me. I was not starting out the day with that. Steven Matz, also an SP2 for me today. I would say no more than 10 or 15% of either one of them on DraftKings, but they are in play. This is an amazing offensive environment. It's going to be hot and humid again. We shouldn't have the weather concerns. We had a little bit of weather concerns yesterday, but it ended up really not being an issue by the time the game rolled around. A lot of runs. It was raining runs for sure. That's something you're going to get in the Midwest when it's really, really hot. The wind is slightly blowing in from center field today, but it's still going to be in the mid-90s or mid-80s, low 90s, cooling off throughout the game into the mid-80s. Look to the righties from both sides. Any righty with power, I think, is in play, but I'm okay with these hitters. If this was in the spring and it was cooler weather, we would be talking a lot more about these pitchers.
Sure.
But it's still an iffy Cole Reagans who we are not giving a lot of credit to because he has not earned it yet. And then Steven Matz is on the back nine at this point. So
how do you rank him?
I would say Matt's 1. I would say that's, but no pitching on FanDuel. Matt's 1, Cardinals 2, Reagans. He's definitely going to be a 10 or a 15%er on DK. And then the Royals, but specific Royals only. Sal Perez, Freddie Fermin, and Bobby Witt Jr. I'm blanking on their middle infielder that got hurt last night, left with tightness. I think it was tightness in the leg. But don't play Matt Duffy. If he's in the lineup. Don't play Matt.
All right. Perfect. Next up, we've got Los Angeles at Houston. Tyler Anderson on the mound for the Angels. JP France for the Astros. Any interest in these pitchers, EMac?
So JP France is intriguing. I wish he got more strikeouts, but he does not. But we do have to consider him. Don't need to play him on FanDuel, but you can play him on where you got to go to the 2 pitcher sites. The Angels, while they did attempt to get better at the All-Star or at the trade deadline, it hasn't seemed to come to fruition for them. They have solidified their lineup, but how many of these guys are really terrifying outside of Shohei Ohtani? You've got Mike Moustakas, who basically every team in the league essentially kind of passed on him or kicked the tires and said no over the last couple of years. So he's batting cleanup. They reacquired CJ Cron. He is an okay hitter. He has power. Mickey Moniak, okay as a rookie. Hunter Renfroe, the numbers are good, but I swear to God, he doesn't hit home runs anymore. And he was someone I used to always pick in our home run contests. They're not scary, but I don't know that France has the strikeout upside to offset this. So he's like a 20 to 25% cap. Hope you don't get more than 15% on DK, and you really need them to get the win to offset his lack of strikeouts, which is a tough order because the starting pitchers get the win in about a third of all games, right? Because it goes to there's about a 30% chance the starting pitcher, because there's 2 starting pitchers and then there's the bullpen. So a starter gets the win about a third of the time in a Major League Baseball game.
Looks like it was Maikel Garcia who left the game for the Royals. How much interest do you have in the bats here for Los Angeles or Houston?
Well, Ohtani, you can always play him. I'd be okay with Moustakas and Mickey Moniak. The challenge is those guys are going to be staggered throughout the lineup, so you lose a little bit of synergy. If I remember correctly, France does an okay job of limiting power, but those guys are just raw power. So that kind of neutralizes it. But those would be the 3 I'd go to first. When you're looking at Tyler Anderson, not today. You have a fully, for the most part, I think Chas McCormick is still dinged up, but you have a mostly healthy Houston lineup that is just for the last 3 years been a top 3 team against lefties. Just the facts. And even putting in Yanir Diaz into their lineup, they keep on chugging. From the bottom of the order, Jake Myers and the other catcher, Martin Maldonado, those are cheapy home run guys. They're okay as one-offs on DK because they're extreme punt plays. I don't want to go to a stack from those guys. Even a wraparound stack doesn't make that much sense. But they're okay as like near minimum home run calls. And then shout out John Singleton last night. Comes back. Did he get a second home run? I can't remember now. But I was like, God, I remember this name. He had. I'm going from memory now. It had been 7 years since his last major league home run. He had been a prospect for a long time for the Astros, and then just fell apart. Basically, out of the league, kind of fell apart. And there he was last night hitting home runs.
Right.
It's like it was the early days of DFS. So don't play him. Don't play him.
Right.
It's a fun story. Don't.
It is. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Astros 1, France 2, the 3 Angels lefties 3, Tyler Anderson 4.
All right. Next up, we've got Milwaukee at Chicago. Brandon Woodruff on the mound for Milwaukee. Jesse Schultens for Chicago. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
So Woodruff, I think, is the best pitcher on the slate. However, he is essentially also priced for perfection when we remember he pitched 2 games this year, got hurt in the second one, shoulder strain, was out for almost 3.5 months. And then he made 3, if not 4 rehab starts. I think he got up to like 68 pitches. His last outing was on Sunday, and I had recommended the under 16.5 outs. He got there. Woo! Except he also got 9 strikeouts. So while I won the bet, I lost in DFS because I faded him. But he is someone I'm looking towards tonight. I'm expecting 90, 95 pitches.
Yeah, he pitched 85 in that last game, right?
85, yeah. Yep. And it didn't. 9 strikeouts. He struck out 5 of the first 7. But it was just like, oh boy, it's going to be one of those days. I recommend against him. I recommend against Framber Valdez, and he pitches a no-hitter. I recommend against Lance Lynn, who has a career-high strikeouts and the most swinging strikeouts in the league for the year in that game. Yeah, so when I lose big on these wagers. But I do like Woodruff tonight. Burns had a tougher. What I was going to say is I watched most of that game, or I was listening to it as I was doing other things. I had it on my computer because I was curious to see. He looked good. The announcers were impressed with how good Woodruff looked. They are trying to make the playoffs. They're not going to push him into the ground, but I think we're going to see 90 pitches today. I believe there's going to be a soft cap of 6 innings, no matter how many pitches he takes to get there. That would be my guess. But he looked really good in that last one. We did see these White Sox get to Corbin Burns last night. In an interesting twist, Yahoo and FanDuel actually have Woodruff slightly higher for the salaries today than they did Corbin Burns yesterday. And remember, Corbin Burns is the guy who is healthy and has won a Cy Young Award.
Right.
So that was kind of an interesting twist. DK was like $300 lower for Woodruff than for Burns, but it was. I like it. The only ones you were worried about, only hitters you're worried about, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, and Andrew Vaughn, and they're all righty. They have good power against righties, but Woodruff is a 30% strikeout rate over the last 2 seasons combined. So,
okay. Are you playing any bats in this game?
I think it's okay to go to the first 3 or 4 in Milwaukee, but the challenge with their lineup is you're hoping you get like 2 weekends ago, it was, I think they let off with 3 consecutive doubles. You need something like that. You need it. You need the hit sequencing to work out for you with Yelich, Contreras, recently acquired Carlos Santana, Frelick, and Adames, because the back of their lineup, hot garbage. They will go 3 up, 3 down, and you can just lose out on an inning or 2 like that.
Yeah,
that's going to cost an at bat for your top half of your stack if the back half can't extend it, and that really weakens offenses even when they are on the road and are assured of the 9 innings worth of at bats. An offense at the back end with Toro, Tarang, Weimer, they're not good.
Okay. All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Woodruff, top 5 of the Brew Crew. The 3 guys I mentioned, Robert, Jimenez, and Vaughn, and don't play Schultz.
All right. I'm going to skip over doing any kind of lineup generator read, guys. I will be doing I'll be doing a lineup generator VOD. It's only eligible for the main slate anyway, so that isn't coming.
4 pieces of content today from Neil.
Yeah, and 3 of them all very early. I can wait on the lineup generator VOD, but check out. It'll be posted here on this channel or my Twitter. I'll post it there as well after the NFL Strategy Show. So we'll check out what's coming up in the lineup generator there. But you can still get it for 50% off your first week, $4.48 for that first week if you use the link in the description of this video. But again, I'll be tweeting it out later. So check that out. All right, next
Speed
up,
round.
What's that?
Speed round
For the lineup generator?
No,
you mean for the final game?
For the last 4 games.
These last 4 games, because I still got to jump into the studio for that and everything. So yeah, we got to go pretty quickly through these. Next up, we've got San Diego at Arizona. Rich Hill on the mound for the Padres. Zach Gallen for the D-backs. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Not really excited about Rich Hill, but I've crossed out so many other pitchers. I'm going to say he's a 10 or 15%er as an SP2. Do not play him on FanDuel. In turn, you can look to former San Diego Padre Tommy Pham. Gets the platoon advantage here. Christian Walker for the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte. Those guys are all pretty good, as is first-time All-Star Lourdes Gurriel. On the other side, I do like Zach Gallen. The challenge is this is still a pretty tough Padres lineup, even though they have not put it all together at the same time. My God, when you look at the lineup, it's phenomenal. Hassan Kim has been out of this world as the leadoff guy, and not just against lefties. He's been doing it against same-handed hitters. DK has priced them, so you don't even need to go to him tonight. I don't want to tangle with Zach Gallen, but I'd be okay with him as like the 3rd best pitcher, maybe the 4th best pitcher in tournaments tonight amongst your top guys, not your SP2s, but your top guys.
And are you willing to go to those Padres bats or Diamondbacks
No.
bats? D-backs?
I don't. Oh, the D-backs, yeah. The D-backs, go with Marte, Pham, Walker, Gurriel. Would be my favorite. And heck, you could even go with Corbin Carroll. The hope would be that they'd run Rich Hill, relative 43 or 44-year-old Rich Hill. He's younger than Neil, but still, he's getting up there in age. Hopefully, they run him early, but
All
get
right.
Carroll the platoon advantage back.
Rank the four sides of the game.
Gallen, Arizona righties, Padres, and then Rich Hill.
All right. Next up, we've got Texas at San Francisco. Andrew Heaney on the mound for the Rangers. Alex Cobb for the Giants. What's your level of interest in these pitchers, EMac?
I wish these guys would reach $1,000 cheaper. All of a sudden, they'd be fine SP2s. We're all playing with the same salary cap there on DraftKings, where we got to look for SP2s. I think these guys are perfectly fine. I'd probably cap them at 30%. Heaney's going to be facing a lot of righties because that is what San Francisco does. They run out the platoon advantage depending on the handedness of the starter. Heaney's pretty good with strikeouts when healthy. He's been mostly healthy this year. I think you can still go to him. He's going against Alex Cobb. If Alex Cobb looks marginal, he is in play on the late slate where we have three games. He's in play as an SP1 only because we have just 3 pitching options. It helps him to go against Texas without who's out. Young is out, and then who's their switch hitting catcher? Heim is out. They're both on the injured list. So all of a sudden you're looking at Mitch Garver, who, when healthy himself, is great against lefties, not so much against righties. And then that means some craptastic players coming in off the bench in the outfield, if not Robbie Grossman. It's probably going to be Smith, I think. And those guys are not good. So that Alex Cobb does a good job of limiting power. So I'm not really interested in the Texas bats, but the Texas bats aren't going to present a ton of strikeouts. Cobb counts on inducing ground balls, which he's very good at. But this is a tough ask from this lineup because they're all pretty decent hitters, at least. So it's hard to get excited because the strikeout upside is not there. But that said, he's the second best pitcher on the late slate. I'd say Heaney is probably number 1 from a fantasy perspective on the late slate. If you're depending on where we are for the main slate, I don't think you need to get to the Giants bats. Austin Slater will be pinch hit for. I don't know who else. So many people are hurt, but I think Tyro Estrada's back, so he should be in the lineup. He usually doesn't get pinch hit, but he's been dinged up for so much of the season. Wilmer Flores usually doesn't get pinch hit for, but who knows? JD Davis should be fine, but they're sitting there with Yastrzemski and Peterson and a variety of Lamont Wade Jr. They got a variety of lefties that are available. If Haney's out of the game plus Crawford, you're going to lose somebody to pinch hitters.
All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
For upside, Heaney is number 1. Alex Cobb is 1A, but that's because he has less downside. Heaney could give up some home runs. That's strikeout home run pitcher. Then I would go Texas. Then I would go the Giants. I probably won't have any Giants in maybe a sub stack or 2 until the main slate. I don't like the pinch hit risk. And you guys have to understand the pinch hit risk. It's more likely when there's a lefty on the mound because most bullpens only have 1 or 2 lefties. So it's unlikely there's going to be another lefty coming in. It's almost assuredly going to be a righty. But you need to look ahead at these things because sometimes if it's a righty on the mound and there's only 1 lefty in the bullpen and he was used 2 of the last 3 days, probably not as much of a pinch hit risk unless the manager gets bored these days because, we don't have to pinch hit for pitchers anymore with the universal DH, but they don't lose the platoon advantage either.
We just have 2 more games to get through, starting with Colorado at Los Angeles. Peter Lambert on the mound for the Rockies. Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers outside of Coors Field. Nice spot here for Gonsolin. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Gonsolin is going to be incredibly popular. He's incredibly pedestrian. At point per dollar play, he's perfectly fine as an SP2, and I think he's like 7,900 on FanDuel. I think you can play him in tournaments, and hopefully he gets the quality start. 3rd day in a row that the Dodgers are at least 3-1 favorites against Colorado. Gonsolin, not a sexy play. Go look at that box score or his recent game logs. Not great, but He's going to go hopefully 6 innings. He should get the quality start. And if the offense can get to Pete Lambert early, they should get the win. Look to anybody in a Dodgers uniform. That makes it easy.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Dodgers bats, Gonsolin, Brendan Rodgers, Ryan McMahon, and don't play Lambert, even on the late slate.
Perfect. All right. Final game of the main slate. We've got Baltimore at Seattle. Cole Irvin on the mound for the Orioles. George Kirby for the Mariners. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Kirby is interesting. Orioles are a tough offense, but they're young and inconsistent. They do have Cedric Mullins back, which helps. But wow, how does he go from leadoff hitter to batting towards the bottom of the order these days? That's how much talent is in this Baltimore lineup. Cole Irvin at best is a reliever. I don't think he'll go more than 20 pitches, so we don't have to worry about him. Kirby is the best pitcher probably on this late slate, but you're paying top dollar, right? So we need 7 innings, 3 earned runs, and 8 strikeouts. I don't know that he gets this against Baltimore with a lot of regularity. Makes him kind of an afterthought on the main slate. Still in play on the late slate because everybody's going to look to Gonsolin or Haney. So now all of a sudden you're like, well, I could go with Kirby or Alex Cobb, and it's an interesting puzzle once again. It's baseball. Things can happen. But on the main slate, hard to really trust Kirby at $10,000 on DraftKings. If we're looking for the offense here, I love Teoscar Hernandez when he goes against lefties, but again, I don't think Irvin's going to go more than 2 innings. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, always in play. One of my favorites as a Mariner fan. Eugenio Suarez and Julio Rodriguez. I never get Ty France right. He's a good real baseball player. I don't want to play him in fantasy. And then they're going to have Tom Murphy and Dylan Moore. They're the lefty specialists. There's a chance they get pinch hit for. Seattle does have, who is it? I'm blanking on the name of their normal leadoff hitter. That probably will be benched today, but because he's a lefty, but he'll come in and replace Dylan Moore is my guess.
I feel like I should know this, but I can't think of it either.
JP, isn't it JP something? I'm completely blanking, but we're at time, Neil.
All right. We are at time. How would you rank the 4 sides of this Baltimore-Seattle game?
Let's go Mariners bats, Kirby, accounting for that price, Kirby.
JP Crawford. Right?
JP Crawford, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't JP Lozman. I knew it wasn't JP Sears, right? Man, I was running out of JP patches. Oh, there's a Seattle callback. Former clown, JP patches. Don't play the Baltimore pitchers. Baltimore bats are third in this one.
All right. And then, so we made it to the end of the slate. 3 favorite stacks of the main slate.
The 3 favorite stacks, Washington makes it all happen. Abrams, Lane Thomas, Joey Meneses, Keibert Ruiz. They're a great secondary stack that opens up a lot of things for you. So that makes them one of my top 3 stacks. I think you probably go, Atlanta is the pat answer, fully knowing that you're paying for them. But that is probably their number. Atlanta's 1, Dodgers are 2. Thank God they're making us pay for them on DraftKings because it makes it a lot more fun than FanDuel. And then Washington is 3rd.
All right, 3 favorite.
If you're not a Washington fan, go to Cincinnati.
All right, 3 favorite pitchers.
Woodruff. This makes it tough because I said besmirching things about a lot of them. I don't think you have to pay for Strider tonight. I don't like the matchup as much for Zach Gallen. I guess Gonsolin is 2 from a point per dollar perspective, but you're going to need to not pair him with a real popular stack to be different. And then I guess Haney is 3. A lot of 20%ers tonight on DK. Woodruff, how about this? I'll play Woodruff on 40% of my lineups. I will probably have the vast majority of everybody else between 20 and 25, and then most of the SP2s, aside from Gonsolin, is going to be 15%. This is a dispersed night tonight.
Eric Traub points out that there is no Atlanta on FanDuel. Do you have a substitute for Atlanta for your
Yes. I would take the Cincinnati Reds or the St. Louis Cardinals as the substitute.
Okay, and then home run pick.
I said Tristan Casas for the early one. Let's go with, can I do Max Muncy?
Yeah, go right ahead. 30% chance
that.
of homering, according to the top batters tool. I'm going to go with Matt Olson on this one. 43% chance in our tools of homering.
Who'd you go with the other one? Acuna?
Acuna early.
Right,
Now
well,
we'll go Olson.
why don't you try to pick some more All-Stars next time? Okay.
I'm totally. Our only rule is no Coors, EMac. I'm following the rules. All right, we got to get going because I got to head over to NFL preseason live before lock, guys. You should join us over there. I'll be there with Matt Kajeski talking through because you really need the content, in my opinion, for the preseason stuff.
Yes.
It is complicated, so join us over there if you're planning on playing any preseason NFL. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. Really does help us out quite a bit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and good luck today.